What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com. And we have an update on the Donovan Smith situation, or the Donovan Smith signing. Andy Reid said when he was talking to reporters earlier today that Donovan Smith indeed is starting at left tackle after signing with the Kansas City Chiefs on a one-year deal. So I already made a video on this after the signing was reported on that it was going to happen, and I just gave my quick reaction on it. And a lot of Chiefs fans actually pushed back on that video. A lot of you guys disagreed with me, more than you guys typically do. But now that Andy Reid has officially announced that Donovan Smith is going to be the starter at left tackle, and that's the plan, I feel like that changes things a little bit, because a lot of you in my last video were telling me, hey, it's just a backup left tackle, it's backup money, who cares, it's a really good signing, and I said that I'm fine if Donovan Smith is a backup, but if he's the starter, I don't love it. So I felt like there was still enough here to make another video on it and revisit this and talk about it once more. And then after the video is done, I would like to hear from you guys again and see what your thoughts are, if they've changed at all. But let's go ahead and talk about this a little bit more. So this is from Nate Taylor, @ByNateTaylor of The Athletic. He tweeted this earlier today after Andy Reid spoke to the media. Andy Reid on Donovan Smith. He's been a left tackle at a high level. He's a good player. He'll be with the left side with the ones. Jawan Taylor will move over to the right. And I actually posted this quote a little bit earlier on my YouTube channel, talking about this before deciding to make another video. But my thoughts again are just, I don't love Donovan Smith being the starter at left tackle, and the fact that the Chiefs addressed their starting left tackle position this late in the offseason with Donovan Smith, who was scraps and free agency left over in May after the draft was over, and that was for a reason. And I said in my last video that I didn't love that plan. I didn't love Donovan Smith starting at left tackle. And just to be blunt, Donovan Smith was a pretty bad football player last year. And this is mainly where a lot of the pushback came from in that last video. I had a lot of Chiefs fans in the comments saying, oh, you have nothing on the signing, you don't know what the plan is. And I'm like, guys, the reporters are literally telling everybody who is willing to listen that Donovan Smith was signed to be their left tackle. They gave him a deal that would pay him up to $9 million because they planned on him being the left tackle. Yes, it is a low base salary, and it's a cheap signing. In fact, it had to have been. I knew that from the start because the Chiefs literally don't have the cap space to sign him to any more than the contract they gave him. But the incentives can pay him up to $9 million because those incentives in his contract are based on his playing time and if he starts at left tackle, which we've been told now multiple times, because this is where the pushback came from. You don't know, he could be a backup, he's a good backup. Well, guess what? He's not the backup, he's the starter. The coaches have told you that. The front office has told you that. Donovan Smith is the starting left tackle, and he can get paid up to $9 million to be their starting left tackle. It's that simple. So again, I would have been fine with it if they were just signing Donovan Smith to be the backup left tackle, or to even compete at right tackle, or just in case Jawan Taylor was just so bad and couldn't make the transition to left tackle, he was there. But now it sounds like they aren't even really going to try the Jawan Taylor at left tackle thing like they once told us that they were going to do. And then it just sounds like Wanya Morris, their third-round draft pick, is just going to have a redshirt year where he really doesn't play. And that's just kind of disappointing because they paid – this makes the Jawan Taylor contract even more puzzling now because they paid him $20 million per year, which is very, very expensive for a right tackle. It would have made sense if they were moving him over to left tackle to pay him that kind of money. And look, I'm happy with the Jawan Taylor signing, even if he does play right tackle, because that was always a plus with the signing, was that you can kind of do whatever you want with him and then go cheap at left tackle, which they're still doing. And even after making my last video, I've at least tried to rationalize a little bit Donovan Smith starting at left tackle, and that's one of the reasons is that they're not really paying Donovan Smith much money, so it kind of offsets. But at the same time, it is a little bit of bad asset management by the Chiefs when you're paying Jawan Taylor $20 million a year, and then you also pay Joe Tooney $16 million per year when you signed him to his contract, and they made him the highest paid guard in NFL history at the time, and that's left tackle money. Orlando Brown got $16 million per year with the Cincinnati Bengals. The franchise tag, which is the average for the position, is $18 million per year, and the Chiefs are paying 2 non-left tackles left tackle money, and that's a little bit of bad asset management or resource management. Now, ultimately, it's probably still going to work out for the Chiefs, and it's an elite-looking offensive line, so I'm not going to complain too much, but that is a reason why I'm just a little bit confused. But nonetheless, they're not even going to try the Taylor at left tackle thing. He's just going to be right tackle, and Donovan Smith's going to be the left tackle. And here's the reason why I'm upset with that. Again, Donovan Smith was terrible last year. Now, maybe I was a little bit too harsh on him in my last video. You know, people said, go back and look at his 2021, which I have. Go back and look at his 2020 even, when he started at left tackle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, and he did a really good job in that game. But there's a few reasons why I don't like Donovan Smith and why I'm not a fan of this move. One, terrible last year, like I said. Now, he did deal with some injuries. He had an elbow injury. I believe he also dealt with a lower body injury, but that doesn't excuse the insane amount of penalties that he had. And also, when you go beyond just his 2022 film, when you look at some of his plays in 2021 and 2020, I mean, you guys remember seeing those low lights of Orlando Brown where guys would just absolutely throw him around, or they would just like run around him super fast and he just couldn't keep up, that kind of thing. I saw that happen to Donovan Smith a lot too. Like, those kind of plays were littered throughout Donovan Smith's film a lot. Now, could that have to do with the lower body injury? Maybe, but I saw it for multiple years. So unless there was some unreported injury from those other years that I looked at when I was watching his film, then I don't think you can use the injury excuse for the past 3 years of just really bad plays. Which, I mean, look, no player's perfect. Because, I'm not saying I expect Donovan Smith to be perfect, especially for the money. But those plays that you saw with Orlando Brown a lot definitely happened with Donovan Smith, which is also a little bit disappointing considering that Donovan Smith is a much better athlete than Orlando Brown. He does move a lot better, but you can beat Donovan Smith inside. Like, I saw that happen a lot. Whereas, like, with Orlando Brown, if you tried to go inside on Orlando Brown, like, you were not getting past Orlando Brown. That was a strength of Orlando Brown's game. And that's the thing is, I feel like Donovan Smith is at least a little bit of a downgrade from Orlando Brown. And at best, they're about on par. And part of me feels like if the Chiefs had just held on to Orlando Brown, hypothetically, and the Bengals had signed Donovan Smith instead, that Chiefs fans would be making fun of the Bengals and saying that they have the much worse left tackle in Donovan Smith. But since it's the opposite, we're acting like the Bengals are the laughing stock for signing Orlando Brown to that contract, which actually ended up being a really good deal relative to what Orlando Brown was originally asking for. And in reality, Donovan Smith isn't this huge upgrade from Orlando Brown. They're comparable as pass blockers. I think Donovan Smith is more of a fit, though, for the pass blocking for the Kansas City Chiefs, and just how much they actually, utilize the pass game and how much they're going to be asking him to drop back. Again, Donovan Smith is a little bit better of a mover, but when you talk about run blocking, it's no question Orlando Brown is the much better tackle as a run blocker. And then really the biggest separator for me, and one of my biggest complaints about Donovan Smith, is the penalties. Donovan Smith led the league last year in penalties. And this is another area in which I bring this up and Chiefs fans go, oh, well, he was injured last year. Well, I got some news for you. It was not just a last year problem. And let's put this into perspective. So Orlando Brown, who has been in the league since 2018, in his career, so 5 seasons of playing, in those 5 seasons, Orlando Brown has allowed 24 penalties, or he's committed 24 penalties. So that is an average of 4.8 penalties per year. So about 5 penalties per year from Orlando Brown. Then there's Donovan Smith, who has been in the league since 2015. So he's played count them, 8 seasons in the NFL. In those 8 seasons, Donovan Smith has committed 80 penalties. That is a season average of 8 penalties per year. That is almost double the average of Orlando Brown. Guys, that is insane. It is not just a problem from last season. It is not just because of injuries. Donovan Smith is just a penalty machine. And last year, I saw all kinds of complaints with Orlando Brown that, he has to have chip help. Jerick McKinnon is basically out there blocking for him. You have to use him as an extra offensive lineman. Well, guys, the case is not that much different with Donovan Smith. And that's why I'm skeptical of this plan. I'm very skeptical. I just don't understand why you waited this long to finally get your left tackle that you wanted, and why the answer at left tackle was Donovan Smith, someone that I deem to be worse than Orlando Brown, someone that I deem to be a downgrade from Orlando Brown. And that's just based on my evaluation. And it feels a little bit like fans are absolving him of his 2022 season, thinking that, that was an outlier season. And I wouldn't really call it that. I would say, though, that Donovan Smith's best football is behind him, because you also have to consider he's 30 years old. He's been in the league since 2015. What if last season is just what Donovan Smith is now, even regardless of injuries? And what if injuries are just something that turns out to be common with Donovan Smith now at this stage in his career? I just think with this plan, the Chiefs are putting a ton of faith. They're putting a lot of their eggs in the basket of a guy who was quite honestly a terrible left tackle last year. The hope is that he can try to find some of that 2020, 2021 form again with the Kansas City Chiefs. Which even then, I don't feel like that was a great player. I think he was good. I think he's been declining the past couple of seasons, though. He's going to be 30 years old. He's always been a penalty machine. That bothers me a little bit. So, I don't know, guys. I don't love the plan. I just don't. That is my honest opinion. I got a lot of pushback on that. I got a lot of Chiefs fans disagreeing with me. But now with this new video and what I've presented to you guys, I want to know from you. I'm genuinely curious. What are your thoughts on adding Donovan Smith to start at left tackle? Because last video I made, a lot of people disagreed. They said, let's just wait. What if he's not the starter? Maybe he's a fine backup. Well, he's the starter. I mean, Andy Reid said it. He's going to be the starter. It sounds like they're not even going to be trying out the Juwan Taylor thing anymore. So does that change your opinion on the Donovan Smith signing a little bit? I got to know from you guys. But with all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. And make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com. And I will see you all in the next one. Go Chiefs!